Honestly, I've never been so anxious to like flip a card.
In your whole life?
My whole entire life. I think it's because I'm probably used to, like, I must know.
You're used to having the information in
advance. you know? I'm like, I know what I'm going to ask her more. Now I'm on the other side and I'm just like, can we just...
Can you go?
And I can't flip the card up until it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation.
Let's have a conversation.
Question 1.
Question 1.
The ball is in your court.
Can
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yes, you can flip. I'm so excited.
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
Nerve-wracking.
What if all your memories are erased? What kind of person would you be? What if all your memories are erased? What kind of person would you be?
Yes.
Well, I think I would probably not know much.
Yeah.
Since all your memories
but
are
my personality would shine through. I'm pretty sure of that. That doesn't require memory. I'm naturally bubbly. I'm naturally friendly.
Yeah.
So at least that would be. So at least I would be able to approach people to ask them, "Hey, do you know me?"
Yeah. I think I would be confused without a name. Because if your memories are gone, you don't have a name. So it's like you wake up and you're like, you look in the mirror, you're like, what's this person reflecting back at me?
Yeah.
Because we put so much identity on a name. It's like when somebody calls you, you know exactly like, oh, that person is talking to me. And you pick up from there. So without memories, I think I would be lost for a second. Of course, personality, but...
Yeah, everybody wants to, you know, if you think like having a fresh start, it's kind of a good idea, because if you think like the knowledge I have at my age now, if I would go back, maybe I would have done certain things differently.
Yeah.
So, but now, the full memory being erased, what are you going back with? So you're just basically a grown baby. You know, like all grown baby doesn't know anything.
Because I think experiences teach us, and memories sort of carry that. So when you revert back, you go back with experience. You're like, I tried that, did not work.
I'd still like, though, like, it shouldn't only be my memory. Like, if everybody's memory then can be erased, that would be amazing as well.
Yeah.
But now imagine it's just you. Everyone is like, hi, Pompili.
And you're like,
who's Pompili?
You know, what are you guys? So I'd be really dazed and confused. But I think if everyone else's memory would be erased.
Because that's the danger also, like, that's the whole thing of experience. It's a very dangerous thing. I've always had an opinion that experience is the greatest teacher, but it's also the greatest limitation. And that's why, you know, the older you grow, the more negative you become, kind of. If someone says, let's start a business, you're like, no, you can't do that. Those things don't work in Namibia.
You start creating limiting beliefs that are based on experience.
Because of experience, exactly.
So maybe at this age with a clear memory, I mean, with no memory, maybe one can do better stuff.
Perhaps.
Well, it's like you said.
But would the experience be there, though?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because it's basically, it's like you said, it's a clean slate.
But it's a baby.
Wow, what a loss. Because, I mean, all those things that happened to you, I mean, some the good and the bad molded you to
where you are now.
to who you are now. So you know what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
Because I'm married, so what do I do with my wife now?
She'll be a stranger to you, but she will remind you.
Whoa!
She will
Didn't think about that one, though.
I have a child, you know, like...
Why you?
I don't know. Yes.
How long?
I'm married now for what? 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's gonna be,
it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, no, I don't think...
It's a wise move.
Nah.
But what was the second part of the question? It said, what kind of person would you be? So, without your memories, I think your wife would remind you what type of person or what kind of person.
No, she will make me the person she wants me to be.
Which is good for her. It's a win-win in her case.
Good for her, not good for me.
A goat. Come on. It's good. Maybe she wants the best for you, you just don't see it.
No, women are evil.
No, but I mean, honestly, if my partner, you know, had to lose his memory, kinda, I would be biased.
Yeah, you'd be like, no, you don't like cucumber. We like kiwi. And the time you're like, eat the kiwi. You forgot about the cucumber.
It's quite true. So, okay,
I think you are set up for manipulation.
Let's get to question 2.
Yeah, question 2. I'm in charge of that one. Excited. Ooh, what if you could change one thing about the world? what would it be and why? Just one thing.
One thing I would imagine that pooling all our resources, if we're starting with Africa as a continent, we have all the resources that we need, so nobody, and I'm looking at Namibia now, would ever have to go hungry. There would be enough food. Everybody would be going to school. Clinics would be for free. So there's so many benefits if you could just get rid of, in this case, I would call it corruption.
Yeah.
And I think corruption is a general problem all over. But it's corruption, that's the root of all evil. That's where, I cannot imagine why people are still living in poverty when we've got all these resources.
Yeah.
So that's just for Namibia, but I think for Africa and the world as a whole.
At large.
I live by the philosophy of Africa is waiting, and basically by that, it technically means that if we don't rise up and do what we need to do, Africa will forever be waiting. So I genuinely agree with you. I would change the philosophy to, why should it be the continent of Africa to wait?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You look at slavery. Slavery has now transitioned into lack of utensils of manufacturing products, but we have the resources.
Yeah.
And you're looking now at this whole war between Ukraine and Russia. I was listening the other day around, Europe must prepare themselves for shortage of water and shortage of electricity, and I'm like, that's our reality.
Yeah, that's like welcome.
For them, it's new, of course, but I mean, for us, it's like
it's
a reality. And so
reality.
I think really, I don't know, where do we close the gap? Because we, the now generation, have to then remodernize and redesign the Africa that we want it to be. Otherwise, we just, we tap into what our forefathers have tapped into. And perhaps they were trading the country for a bottle of Jack, or a nice, cute wine. It really makes it no difference from now. I'm still trading my skills for the outside.
But I think it's
That would change.
it's an issue of, like, it's an issue of, what do you call it? Lack of pride. We don't have, a lot of Africans, we don't have that pride to say, like, I always have this argument with friends. When someone comes and tells me, no, I went to a jazz festival in Cape Town, it was so nice. And this person is a CEO in a company where I send a proposal to do a jazz festival here, and they say no. And we don't have that. We don't have that pride of saying, this is my country, and I'm doing this for my country.
But Nigeria does, though.
Yeah, we can do it ourselves.
Yes.
Really.
As long as we don't have that pride, people
So
will
the
always,
one thing you guys would eradicate or get rid of or change would be the systems in place, which sort of creates a hierarchy, which sort of then you don't have an equal class of, say, everybody gets exactly the same part of the pie.
It would just be nice that Africa was like the next big Europe. I mean, it was far beyond Europe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be amazing because we have so much. I mean, look at it. It took a movie like Wakanda to celebrate Africa.
Yeah.
How many years later? Yeah. I mean, after Shaka Zulu and the Bones, but I mean, that was for Africans. You know what I mean? But even the narrative with that movie still didn't edify Africa as your standpoint. It was signified as the place for resources.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I feel if there was one thing that I would change, like the world at large, is for individuals to sort of see themselves as better than. It's like we have an image of ourselves, but it's always limited by what do other people think of me. So once we think, or if every person could always feel and think better about themselves, then it's like you don't need to look down on the next person. You don't need to, like, it's the sense of pride that you are talking about. Like, you don't need somebody else to clap for you. I don't think Africa at large needs validation from other people. If we give ourselves that validation, we're not going to need it. So if we want to have, like, if we want to host, and it's one thing that I've noticed now within my community, I'm a Herero, and what they do now with the musicians, they perform at weddings. There will be like a whole group. You have your ethnic, your One Blood, all the other hero artists. And then they'll go perform at a wedding. And they make it like sort of, it becomes a concert. Now, people don't necessarily go for the wedding, okay? But they will go for the music because it's that thing of, I got to see Big Band live. I got to see Who live. And it's a thing of community pride. So the moment you stop seeking, you're going to validate yourself.
Yeah, but also understand standards do help us. There must be a standard. There must be something, you know, I don't support this thing of, for example, one of our politicians walking around all over with his shoes and whatever. You have to motivate people to succeed.
Yes.
You know, and poverty is not attractive. We can't make it attractive. You know, young people should be
There's no
inspired.
joy in
You know,
poverty.
you must want to go to school. You must want to do better than the next person. You must want to grow. You
must be a drive,
There
a
must
sense
be
of
that.
pride.
Yes.
There must be that drive. Because if you
Willpower.
don't have drive, you're going to have no invention. No one's going to invent anything.
Yeah.
Because there's no drive. We all have bread to eat. We sit at home and look at each other.
Contentment
And I always
actually
see
takes
people
over.
glorify poverty for no reason.
I
There's
th-
like this, no. Yeah, but yes.
I think if we could erase poverty, that would be a good start.
Equalize, actually, the greatest
Yeah.
equalizer.
So that means you are removing all the systems in place.
Yeah. For
That
me,
means
if
everybody
there's
should
something
be
I would
equal.
change,
Now that reminds me of Animal Farm.
it would be raised. If
Yeah.
people don't see color, the world would be a better place. Because a lot of things, you know, I look at my son is 5 years old. I take him to cricket games, he plays with other kids, and he doesn't see any race. These kids don't see color, and they really get along very well. There's no issues. Yeah? But also color plays a big role. Because once there's color involved, things change.
Yeah.
And then we start looking at each other differently. And someone
I think-
says,
I
why
think-
should that person have this and so
Yeah.
on.
What color should we be at the end of the day? To begin with.
Yes, I mean,
We should
What?
all be purple or pink.
Oh, we should all just be humans. How about we just
Yes.
Be
humans?
I think at the end of the day, the way it was designed, and you're quite right, Amor, is that color plays a role. But you will see that in areas or in institutions where that is not president, you know, something else takes precedence. There must be some sense of division to stop progress in any case, you know. And so if you don't hit the jackpot of color, then it's a matter of education.
Level of education.
Level of education,
Which
and
then
then if you
also
don't, if
puts
it's
the
not
salary
education, then it's
The next thing.
there has to be something, and I think that's what we keep fighting at the end of the day.
Yes, we're fighting cults. Cults are systems that are put in place. If it's not color, it's tribe. If it's not tribe, it's a region. There's always going to be, because for people to control, even the whole system of, you know, if you look at back in the days that women couldn't go to school, it was a system of control.
Yeah.
You know, if you have people like Christianity, all this stuff, it's just to control. Everything controls us. Don't do this, do that. Don't do this, do that. And then we have one person we are all following, which is a leader, you know, and we have to do what that person says. And then that person can do whatever they please. You know?
Let's all go to England and have the Queen taking
Yeah.
care of us. All right,
Yeah.
let's get into the third question.
Ooh, this is yours.
Yeah, right?
The nerves are over. Wait.
I've been quite anxious to already flip this card. All right. What if you used every moment of your life productively?
Oh, wow.
I'll be exhausted.
Yeah.
What if
you know, during COVID, I read so many books, like different books, and also audio books and so on. And really, it came to a point where I just put everything aside. My mind was exhausted by information. I had so much information that it was starting to frustrate me, annoy me, you know, because like you have all this information and you can't do much with it because you are locked down.
I was about to say, what type of books were you reading?
Yeah, so it's being productive. I don't think it's human nature to be productive all the time. I've actually learned from a previous boss I used to have. He used to tell me, Amor, if you come in the office at 8 and you work 2 hours up to 10, you actually be better than someone working from 8 to 5. And I started developing that habit of just trying to work 2 hard hours. And if you see how much difference it makes,
Yeah.
Quantity over quality.
it's just 2 hard hours. So, being
Is it the other
productive.
way around? Quality over quantity.
I mean, after I left a full-time career and then went into aviation, and then COVID happened with aviation, I really got to calculate how much time I use on unproductive things and what the definition of productivity means, because now your income depends on your productivity. And the more focused you are, the more hardworking you are onto your own goals, you get to reap the results of it. But I've really picked up minor things. I'm a football addict. Like, I think that one is just in my blood because my mom is
So
the
yesterday
same.
you were stressed.
I wasn't actually. I don't support any team, but I love
Okay.
watching all of them. So like 4 games at once is good for me. But like, it's not productive watching television, to be very honest. I mean, I've now gotten to a point where I've just downsized it to football. If there's no football match, then I'm not watching television, because clearly I have time to do stuff, right? I'm just not doing it productively. I have books that I've not caught up or finished. I am like that child that eats 4 apples and still trying to find the right apple with the right taste. That's how I am with my books. This one is halfway, this one is 2-page, the other one is 3. But really, I've started maximizing my productivity into saying, like, if I can spend, these smartphones are so smart because they tell you how much time you spend on your phone. And, I still go out and complain. Yeah, I don't have access to this, and if only I had access to, I could utilize that time. So self-assessment, self-audit helped me really to become a much more productive person. And then calculating what are the most productive times for the day, because I cannot be by a PC from like morning until evening time, And so some people are more productive in the morning. I am overly productive in the evening, as in night owling, So it changes the game completely. It changes your income completely. And then also listening to motivational clips. I'm really addicted to Jim Rohn, because he has fundamental principles to share and modules and all of these things. And so it gets me going, hey?
Yeah.
It gets me going complete. But then again, also it isolates you.
Yeah.
It truly isolates you.
No, but you see, I think it's the balance, man. No man is an island.
Yeah.
So if you are 20% productive 25% productive in a day, 25, 25, 20, we make 100.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I do marketing and promotions and events and stuff. And if you find me at a social place and you think I'm not productive, I'm actually the most productive there. Because if I have to go and sell this candle, I have to know people.
Yeah.
I have to know what people want, how they think, how they operate. So as much as you find the glass of wine there and you think I'm unproductive, it's probably my most
literally.
productive time.
Yeah.
So it also now question is what is productive to who?
To who?
What
do you define productive?
But then it says every moment of your life. You used every moment of your life. So I think it's also not saying every little thing you do, but every moment. Like, say, right now we are here. This is the moment. So if you use this moment productively, then you did well. The next time you have a meeting, that's another moment.
A family meeting for me is not productive. Hi.
It depends on how you see it. If the money is coming from you, it's not productive. If
No.
you're the
Family
one funny, like, no family meetings.
The family moment, yes. The
Yes.
moment it's a family meeting, I count me out.
It's like everything. Say you go, because like we started off, I do work out. So it's not every day you're gonna give you 110%. It's not. So it's like sometimes you need to say, no, okay, today I need rest. But now because you are resting, somebody is assuming you are not productive. But your body needs the rest in order to be giving it, say, 80% productivity the next time.
Balance.
Yeah, so you need balance.
Because if you're
But
working
you
the
use-
whole time, you're going to get
you're gonna
exhausted.
be
If you don't
exhausted.
sleep properly, if you don't exercise, if you don't eat.
Yeah,
If you don't strike that balance,
Yeah.
or if you can't, and this is the thing that I found interesting, is I used to struggle quite a lot. Switching off from the office, moving to the house.
Sure.
And switching the house off and moving to the
to the
office.
office, yeah.
And sometimes there's overlaps. So it's this constant
Yeah.
flow that you need to manage to make sure that you don't exhaust yourself or that you don't get so stressed out by something at home that you can't perform at the office. Or vice versa, taking your work home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't
and
advise on
that's
that.
also where you need to put boundaries. I
Yeah.
think like after a certain time, I'm not gonna look at my WhatsApp. I'm not gonna
And you
respond
are
to every.
productive in that moment of you resting. Because sometimes we always attribute productivity to being busy. Like what you're saying. See, say you are networking. Someone thinks, oh, you're having a glass of wine, you're having a jolly good time. Are you really that busy though? I am. Guess what? I am.
Yeah.
You know? So it's
No,
like,
the thing is, you got two minds.
Yeah.
You got a conscious mind and you got an unconscious mind. So even if you're doing nothing, your unconscious mind is working. The key is always, what are you feeding yourself?
yeah.
You see, that's the important thing. If you're on TikTok the whole day
Yeah, that
and
episode's
you're
awesome.
feeding yourself all that, I call it crap, all that crap.
Next thing you're doing a TikTok
Even in your
challenge.
resting time, your mind is still working on that crap. You know, so that's the very important thing is, what are you feeding yourself? You know, so if you're feeding yourself crap, trust me, even if your rest will be crappy rest. Because
now that little audio
Yes.
that was repeating is now constantly on your mind.
And
And
you're
you're like
like,
trying to say, okay, let me try and learn the dance. And before you know it, you're not even resting. You're like, oh no, let me watch it again. And then you pick up
I
your
would
phone and go
love
again.
the day to see a mod do a TikTok challenge. But let's get to
I
the
don't know.
next
I
question.
don't even have TikTok or no. I'm not even on TikTok for that matter. So no,
But there's going to be a day.
no ways. No, I'm not doing TikTok.
Let's have our last question.
Oh yes.
Dun-dun-dun.
Ta-da.
It's like a one sentence.
What is-
Oh, how about now?
TikTok, right? TikTok, right?
No. How about now, guys? How about now?
I think it's good to assess where we are at
What are we going to do?
and what we're going to do next. And I firmly believe 5 minutes of planning saves an hour of work. So, how about now for me today? I would focus on productivity. I like being busy, and there's always something that needs to get done, sometimes to the point that it's overwhelming.
Let's bring it down to the present moment. How about now? Like as
Yeah.
in, this present moment that we're currently in. We spoke about what we can change. We spoke about productivity. Why would you change what you could? Let's bring it down to that and see.
Now, for me, what about now? You know, I like the way we started this thing, and you know, we currently living in a society with depression and all this stuff. And how about now? For me, it's all about that. You know the word conversation. I mean, I've been in broadcasting and media for my whole life, and nowadays all you hear is conversation. But at the same time, we are living in a society where people don't actually have any real conversation.
True.
No.
And it's also because, you know, people have this, we are all forced to have this too. There's you, and then there's you on the social
True.
media. So you have to manage.
The facade.
Yeah, we spend actually more time managing the you on the social media.
Than
And
the you.
if something happens in your life, if you lose someone, then you have this whole big struggle because you have not been feeding this you. And this you is so strong and is so powerful, but it has no substance, you know. So I think, you know, with this, where we are right now in this nation, we really need to go back. This word we are using, conversation, we need to really have real conversations.
Genuine
You know, and then that's probably why I like this activity, because this was real. I mean, I didn't have time to plan or prepare myself for what was under the skirts. But if we can all come back to that stage of saying, like, what am I doing for myself? Not for me on social media, that people love, what people like, but for me, the person that I am, what am I doing now for myself?
And I think it's quite important that we finding a balance to where is my focus really, because if I am mentally empty, physically I am an empty person, I go back to a very depressing reality, then I live in a box of selling a facade, right? And as long as there's a fake conversation happening around that facade, I'm fine because there's a bubble to live in. But in the now presence, youth is faced with overwhelmingly unemployment. How do we really close that gap? Because the youth is very active on social media. We have data, we have money for data. And so maybe instead of creating conversations that are bashing us, because it's the first thing, when people read a headline or something, we rush to the comments to read the comments.
And the comments are always so degrading.
But how about young people, we get together then, since we are on the platforms, we're very vocal on those platforms, that we then create networks that build us. But it's so hard because we've already created a formula of negativity. The comment that gets 1,000 likes, it's a negative comment, it's a bashing comment. And so here you come trying to be positive, you are one out of how many?
And then you get bashed just
and
for
then
being
you
positive.
get bashed for just being that. So
true.
how about we, as young people, start conversations, culture of really empowerment and building each other, because we really are a sad generation.
With happy pictures.
No, but it's true. I mean, if you're already on a platform and you have followers, and going back to this word of being an influencer, the question I always ask people is, people come and say, no, help me, man, I need my page to move. And I always ask, what are you influencing? What is your influence? And people can answer you.
Yeah.
And they say, no, but I create content and what are you influencing? So that's the question you need to answer. Like, are you influencing people to eat more bread? Are you influencing them to work out? Are you influencing them to, to do something? Or are you influencing them to look like you or to follow you? What are you really influencing?
Let's hear from the two of you.
I can go first.
Well, I just think if we bring it down to how about now again, I think it's time to just pause, hit the pause button, and not always live in the past and not always be so obsessed about the future. I think often we miss the moments because we're so obsessed with what's happening next and what has happened, as opposed to just pulling the reins in and just calming down and saying, okay, fine, let's just breathe for a second, let's just focus.
I think
and
COVID really taught
reassess.
us that, but we forgot, hey?
That's the thing, already.
To be very honest, COVID taught us how to just press that button.
We want to let go of COVID.
Not how about now? How about now? I think you guys mentioned some beautiful points: resting, reflecting, creating an environment where everybody feels welcomed and uplifted. But like I say, people mention a word and like depression, unemployment. Some of the few words that I picked up as you guys were closing off. But what we always, it's like what you asked, how are we going to close the gap? I don't think it's possible, because at some point, it's nice to sit and say all the positive things that people want to hear, right? And then sometimes you just need to look at the reality of what the situation is, and also tell yourself, like, you're not going to sell yourself lies. There are people that are unemployed. There are people that are suffering with depression, and they need an escape. Unfortunately, this escape is via social media. So if they go on social media, you are all happy and jolly. They're going to zoom on your toes and they're going to be like, her right toe is not done. And that's going to be the conversation for the day, because they have so much ample time. And if the negativity gets cloud, that's what everybody is going to do, unfortunately. But the best way is just to protect your own mental space, because you're not ice cream. You can never make everybody happy. Like, you're not pizza, like you're not comforting food, you're not making cheese. Like understand that they are individuals and how they reflect on you has got nothing to do with you. And that's like, you need to start detaching yourself. Because if you want to fix everybody and you're not fixing yourself, if you don't give them any mind, they're going to be like, she's not paying us attention. Okay, on to the next one. Whose hair can we pull next? So in terms of how about now, it's just going back inwards, having the conversation with yourself inwards, and always asking, what am I projecting? What am I putting out there? Is it productive, or is it something somebody can learn from? Is it something that's elevating my life? Is it something that's good for me? And if it is, it will leave you happier. Like, that's all. Like, create things that leave you happier than before. Or so.
Happiness is overrated.
Hey, happiness is a choice.
It's overrated.
You know
Told me that in the gym today.
We're done with episode 6. Yeah, but the conversations continue.
Right.